Hello, and welcome to the TrailManners podcast. I'm your host, Eric Manning, coming to you from the beautiful trails in Ogden, Utah, but connecting you to wherever trail, ultra, and mountain running takes us. We'll bring trail running to life with amazing athletes, discuss the latest topics, epic journeys, and get you stoked for your next trail adventure. We're sharing the moments that make life special, because even a rough day on the trail beats a good day indoors, and nothing beats time spent with good friends and great stories. Catch us here weekly for your dose of dirt, vert, and good vibes. So now it's time to top off your water, grab some cheese curds, and join us for this week's podcast, where we take you deep into the heart of our sport. It's go time. Hello and welcome to episode number 305 of the TrailManners podcast. Our guest today is favorite Trevor Fuchs. The TrailManners podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at TrailManners. And don't forget to subscribe, review, and rate us on iTunes. If you're so inclined, TrailManners would really appreciate any contribution via our Patreon account at patreon.com/TrailManners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to the TrailManners podcast. This is episode number 305. And today we've got a guest that's no stranger to the podcast. Been on a few times. It's been a few years, actually, when we first had him on. But as we mentioned before, we have done this before with Jeff Hart. We are going to sit with our guest multiple times throughout the year, following him to Hardrock and after. So our guest today from Utah here is Trevor Fuchs. Trevor, thanks again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Seen you on the trails a few times within the last month.
A lot lately, yeah.
But it's been nice to get you back on the podcast. And Trevor is one of my favorite guests because he brought in some IPAs. So we've got from the TF Brewing Company, the Templin family in Salt Lake, Ferda Imperial IPA. It's a double IPA, 8.2. That's all the info I got, other than we each cracked one to celebrate the launch of this new podcast. But as I mentioned, Trevor, so you're running the Hardrock 100 on July 16th this year, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, right? I mean, with everything. Hardrock's had a pretty bad run of luck the last few years down there. So I'm hoping it goes, because I'm excited to see it get back to, out there.
Definitely.
But also it's got a pretty good list of entrants. Although I think, if I remember right, and again, I'm out of the loop a lot, Darcy was she on the list in Hardrock, do you know? PQ?
I don't recall.
Okay, anyway, she went down, looks like, with a pretty good knee injury, so hopefully she heals up soon, because, she was on the start list, and this was like her race, so we hope she heals up. But a little background, those that you don't know Trevor, he's here, lives here in Utah, in the Ogden area, and I'm not going to go down his complete race results, because it's pretty stout. But we first had him on because he was quietly, and I mean quietly, because the Wasatch 100 is in our backyard, just taking wins at the Wasatch 100. He went back-to-back 2016 and 2017. He's won the Hurt 100 last year in 2020. The year before, it was second place. He's won the Bear 100 here, and he's also won the Ute 100, which is a pretty new race, but it's also it's a big race. When I say big, I mean it's not easy. Right?
It's a challenge. And I didn't win Bear. Came in second at Bear.
Oh, that's right. I have second. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Worries.
2019, it was second at Bear. Yeah, I mean.
No disrespect to Jeff. Jeff won that year. So.
That's right. Yeah, pretty good place. And then he just got back from Hawaii just recently, right?
Yeah.
But not for a race, just to enjoy it a little more.
Just to enjoy it. We're actually kind of scouting a place to possibly move out there. So.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, big announcement.
Well, let me know when that happens, because we'll get you on the podcast, and we'll do it at your place next time.
Cool. Yeah, definitely.
But so you still have one of the funniest stories that we've ever had on the pod. And when I say funny, because hindsight, at the time it was probably terrifying, but when he was, Trevor ran hurt the year there was the missile attack threat alarm that went off. So we've had him on the show. You'll have to go back and listen to that. But, you know, we all, and I laugh because it just cracks me up. We all have these stomach issues, GI stuff, weather, cutoffs, paces. But how many times have anybody out there run a race where you get an alert saying, there's a missile headed for you, take cover?
Yeah.
So
it's a little different vibe when you think you're going to be like evaporated, you know?
It's a little different than throwing up or having a blister, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, yeah, I was like, holy cow, I can't even imagine. But you have to go back and listen because we did talk a lot about that in a previous show. And maybe I'll find it, put it in the show notes and some links to that. So, what have you been up to? I mean, obviously, you know, I don't know what year we're in. This has been such a blur. 2020 did not live up to standards far in the racing and running world.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what happened. What have you been up to, not just since you've been on the show, but just in general?
Yeah, well, as far as running goes, 2020, like you said, was all over the place. Had a stress fracture after hurt, actually during hurt. So it took a while to come back from that. And did a couple races in the summer, but they were sort of a wash. I just didn't really... I mentally wasn't ready to be there, and just some other environmental factors. But kind of just mostly enjoyed running last year and just kind of training with no real purpose, and then eventually put that to decent use at White Rim. Went down and did the White Rim Trail. That was pretty fun.
Now, you just didn't do the White Rim. Tell us what you did down there.
Ran it in just under 16 hours.
And is that pretty fast?
I don't know. I don't know. I could do it faster.
What's the FKT down there?
Well, right now it's just under 16 hours. But someone's going to do it in 15 at least, I think. Yeah.
Is it do you think that's one of those runs that's not as popular when you see FKTs like the Colorado Trails and the Wonderlands? I mean, those are big and huge, but do you think the White Rim kind of sneaks under the radar a little bit?
I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
For one thing, it's very crewable.
Yeah.
Like you can have crew either ahead of you or behind you the entire time, though it's actually, in a lot of places, it's faster to run it than it is to drive it.
Oh, yeah.
But there's plenty of spots to crew. There's bathrooms along the entire loop, you know. It's like, and it's scenic the entire time. It's so beautiful, you know. It's a little flatter than anything I've done 100-mile wise. Like just under 7,000 feet of climbing. I really don't know why more people don't do it, honestly. I know this year it got a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
Just because I think everything's getting a little more of the FKT love. Honestly, I think 100 miles for an FKT, it's a commitment, you know.
Yeah.
Like most people can see themselves going out and trying like a 30, 40, 50 miler, but doing a 100-miler without anybody paying attention or tracking or really caring, you know, it's hard to get motivated to do that.
Well, and just recently on one of the single track sessions, there was a stat from fastest known times, I think .com, .org, something, right? The FKT's just and I don't remember the percentages, but it was like this huge spike in attempts and broken ones and the people doing them last year. And I think, like you said, there wasn't a lot going on, and there's people that were, you know, the COVID thing kind of hit, and we'll say March, just for lack of a better thing. So many people were dialed and getting ready for something big, and they couldn't do it.
Right.
In fact, I just shared on the TrailManners Facebook page what Caitlin Gerben did up at Wonderland. North Face kind of took a video of her FKT at the Wonderland, and oh my gosh, that is, if you have a second, you can go look it up, or you can go to our Facebook page. That is the coolest. Like, I think it's like 15 minutes. But it's super cool. Just the scenery. I mean, I've said I've always wanted to do that, but she killed that FKT. And it's just pretty cool because I like when they show the darkness, right? I mean, she was throwing up, not feeling good.
Right.
It wasn't just all like, look at me and this is awesome and everything else. So I think you're onto something. More people were out doing that because, I mean, you were trained hard. Hurt was in January. So you had a great fitness level, even though you had your stress fracture. So it's not like you wanted to waste stuff, right?
Yeah, the biggest thing is in October I did this dumb vert challenge thing. So I, spent like 6 hours a day just going up and down hills, and And by the end of October, I was just super fit and strong, and I was like, I should probably do something, you know. Seems like a shame to just waste it. So, but yeah, it was fun.
What else did you last year? I mean, you mentioned enjoying running. How important do you think that is to the success of longevity, right? Yeah. Running wise, just and just being overall healthy, not just like stress fractures, Achilles stuff, whatever, just health wise. How do you think that breaking away from that helps?
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that a lot, even on my run today. I've kind of reached this point where, you know, I'm not really doing the sponsor thing, and I don't really, besides Hardrock coming up, I don't really have any races planned, and I'm just kind of getting out to run just to run and loving every second of it. And I've just been incredibly happy the last few months. I feel like my body is responding much better to that response or to that stress than it would to, like, you know, really structured training leading into a race or anything like that. I can only imagine that for longevity, it's going to be amazing, because right now I feel stronger, fitter, healthier than I ever have, and I'm just running for the pure love of it. So
nice. I love that. I mean, we talked before we got on the show. I've been battling this silly Achilles thing, and just the thought of going out and just having that whole enjoyment without any of the pressures, right?
Yeah.
And you used to have a coach.
Still do. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you next. So it's David
Roach.
And so he's still is he still coaching you?
Yeah.
So how does it work then do you let him know, hey, I'm just kind of, let's tone it down for a little bit, but also knowing when I saw you on the trail, you're like, I'm putting all my eggs in the Hardrock basket type thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a tough one to get in. So you want to put your best foot forward, and you know, looking at your results in the past, you know, these are big races, Utes and Bears and Hertz and Wasatch. Those are big 100 mountainous, tough races. So Hardrock is right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. So how does it work with your coach then?
Well, I think that we've been working together long enough that we kind of just vibe together, you know. He sort of gets the feeling when I need to back off, and also keeps me engaged when I'm not necessarily feeling like being engaged. But yeah, right now, I mean, I don't think I even had to say anything, but I think he knew where I was at with my fitness and what I wanted to do this winter. Because I've done Hurt the last 3 years, I've really just kind of been injured during the winter the last 3 years, you know. That race beats me up every time. I've broken my kneecap there. I smashed my head last year. Like, it's just always something, and the stress fracture. Like, it just takes me a while to get back from that. And this year I've been injury free and just kind of wanting to get out and run in the winter on my own time and enjoy it. And I think that he really responded to that and has kind of kept my mileage around, you know, 55, 60 miles a week, and just sort of chill, just do what you want to do. We've done maybe like 4 or 5 workouts this winter, and that's about it.
Nice.
But I think he mentioned in my training log the other day that he senses that there's a breakthrough bubbling up under the surface right now, and you know, and I think he's right, and I think it comes down to a lot of what we were just talking about. I feel like I've just sort of had this awakening, I guess, for lack of a better word, where I'm not doing it for validation anymore.
Yeah. And
I think that's something where maybe if I was probably low key about it, but I think everyone kind of does that. Like, why do we run, you know? Yeah. And sometimes I think it's easy to fall into that trap. Like, I run so that people can tell me that I'm awesome and it makes me feel good about myself or whatever. And between last year, and I don't know if it was the whole COVID thing and races not happening or like losing sponsors or anything like that, but I just like don't care anymore. Yeah. And it's been relieving. And I feel like with David specifically, he's really like latching onto that and feeding into that, this new fire that I have with running. So,
well, and I think that's one thing that a runner like myself, or let's just say an average runner, I hate to say that, but you know, that's not like a sponsored athlete. So you have like yourself going through that sponsorship period, and you've got these other athletes out there that have those sponsors. And I've talked to athletes before, and I've been on the other side where I've been part of companies that sponsored athletes when I was working with Pearl Izumi. But there is added pressure when you are sponsored, whether you know whether people think so or not.
Whether
right?
it's just perceived or not.
Yeah, because you have so many different levels. You got the whole ambassador type stuff. You've got the team stuff. But when you do get to a point where, yourself and a lot of others, I mean, you put a lot into it. It's never bad to, I'll say, make a little money. Sometimes it's products, sometimes it's discounts, sometimes it's entry fees, sometimes it's travel. But there's pressure there, because there's so many people coming into the sport, and it's like, I got to prove that, what, like you said, whether you think you're doing it or whether you want it or not, there's a lot of that added pressure to it.
Right.
So when you talk about running for fun again, with that pressure out the window, that's got to be kind of like a big weight at sometimes. I'm guessing. I would never know. I've never been sponsored by anybody but myself. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like it's been liberating for me. But I think more so it's not just the not being sponsored, it's the like shedding myself of the desire to be sponsored.
Yeah.
Like it's just I've had it, and I realize that maybe it's just not my jam, like I don't necessarily need to be a shill to a corporation that doesn't really care about people too much, not to like, but and I think it's just liberating to like know that that's not something I'm going for, like what? I can go and I can still do these races, and I can attack these races for myself, for my own personal intrinsic validation, and I don't have to do it for other people.
So this is going to bring up an odd question. And this is something I've had to ask, and I've wanted to ask it before. And we saw you running yesterday. We were running. You were running with Preston, and you've got white shoes that you run in on the trail. And the first time I saw posts with you doing it, I'm like, okay, is he playing right now? Like I didn't get a good clear cut of what they were, anything. I'm like, all right, what's he doing right now? Because you've had some fun little social media posts lately. Just kind of poking fun here and there, just having a good time. And I see these shoes, and I'm like, okay. Folks, these are pure white. Like I don't think there's a shade or like the new North Face that are super hot right now. They're white, but they have some black on them and maybe some more. These are like you're getting baptized type stuff, or you're going to the church, right? They're full on white. And I found out yesterday, I really took a hard. They're Merrells, am I right?
Yeah.
So what are these shoes? I've never seen them before, and I like shoes.
Yeah. So they're Merrell. I think they're called Skyfire MTL or something. When I first started running, I wore Merrells because I was into like the more minimalist style. They had the trail gloves. So I kind of gave them another try, and these shoes they're undyed. That's why they're, pure white. I was just looking for something that is going to be better for the environment and like, I don't know, like not, have child labor in China or things like that. I don't know. I'm trying in my life to like minimize my impact on the world. So I thought I'd try these shoes, and it's probably just a marketing ploy, and they're still terrible for the environment, but at least I sleep better at night, I guess. I don't know.
How do you keep them white? Because they look, I know you've run in them before. I've seen you running them 3 or 4 times. I saw them again yesterday. Not the best conditions. No. And I'm like, okay, what's he spray on? Like,
nothing. So I think I posted a picture on Instagram. I wore them once here in Utah, and then I took them with me to Hawaii. Yeah. And I ran out there, and they were absolutely destroyed with in 30 seconds in Hawaii. Just that mud gets on things, and like those shoes will never be white again. So they were pretty fresh there for a minute, but
now they're not. Now you couldn't wear them to the mall or something when you're just styling.
No.
Do you like? I mean, obviously you like them because you're wearing them, but I mean, what would you compare them to as far as a shoe goes? I mean, there's not a lot of stack height. They're pretty minimal. Are they like a 0 drop type, 4 mil drop?
No, 6 mil. Okay. 6 mil drop. Pretty aggressive tread. I think they're like 5 or 6 mil tread, but pretty aggressive, pretty grippy on ice and things like that. I would kind of compare them to the Salomon Sense Pro, or a comparable shoe like that. Okay. They're super light, fast. I do like them a lot.
You said super light, right?
Yeah.
I said super white.
Both. They're both.
Is this something you see yourself wearing this year, though? I mean, do you like them like that? It's a racing 100-miler? Do you think do something like that?
Yeah. There's enough cushioning that I think they'd be totally fine for a 100-miler, and I like the tread, and I like the way they feel. So
nice. Well, that's all that really matters.
Buy
at
a
the
couple
end of
more
the day.
pairs, and
that's awesome. They make them in any other color?
They do. Yeah, they have dyed. They're actually pretty cool. You should check them out. They have like, I don't know, different cool like mountain backgrounds and stuff on some of them.
I'll have to check them out. Yeah. I'm not a white shoe guy.
That's all right.
I actually tried a pair of white a road from a brand. I can say it. I tried a pair of Ultras at the shop. They were all white. That road shoe. and I was like, whoa, these are different. I'm not used to white. But I also tried the North Face, the new North Face Vectives on, the middle price point one. They have 3 of them. They feel really good. Just a little narrow in the toe box for me still. And I don't think they make a wide, but another white shoe. So I'm like, are white shoes coming back?
They're coming back. I mean,
in the trail side, it still blows my mind.
But it makes no sense. But
I mean, but I stop and think about it, I'm like, at the end of the day, all your shoes get dirty, no matter what you do. But it just like, I guess if you wear white, they're just going to get dirty anyway. So it really doesn't matter, but it's just weird.
Honestly, that's been the biggest question everybody's asked is like, what are you going to do with white shoes on the trail? They're just going to get dirty. And I'm like, I don't care. Like,
well, black shoes get dirty.
All my shoes are dirty after one run anyways. Like, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, I had to bring up the white shoe things. I'm like, what is he wearing? And is this like, is he making fun? Are these kids? What are these things?
Starting a new trend.
And it's going to happen. I mean, people have their style, right? So there's people that wear like flannel shirts to race in or button-up shirts, and Browning's got his glasses, and people have their beards, and everybody's got their thing, right? So maybe white shoes.
Mine'll be white shoes.
Trevor White Shoes Johnson.
Here comes old white shoes.
Here comes old white. I know who that is. How can you tell from his stride? No, he's got white shoes. So okay, that's good. All right, let's dive into Hardrock a little bit.
Yeah.
Is this a race you've kind of always wanted to get into and run then? Has it always been something you wanted to test yourself at?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the main event for the type of runs I like to do. So, yeah.
And what I mean, we talk about it, on the show all the time. You've got the Western States, you've got, these iconic races, right? Yeah. And there's always this battle of which one's the best. And at the end of the day, they're 2 different races in my eyes, right?
Definitely.
One's like Hardrock is just this huge mountain grunt peak, and Western's hard on its own way, right? The heat, it's downhill at the end. I mean, it's different. But I've never run Hardrock. I'm not a runner like yourself, a super good runner. But Hardrock is like my kind of race, and I say that because I know number one, it kicked my trash on every possible level, but that's the kind I like the mountainous scenery type stuff, and I've been on the course. Run quite a few sections of it, not all at once, but it's just so amazing.
Right.
Like, I just every time I go to Silverton, the area, I find myself daydreaming sometimes, like thinking about it. Have you run down there before then?
I never have. No.
Okay.
I grew up in Colorado, so I've visited through there. I've driven through there. We've camped there and stuff, but I've never run there as an adult. So I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have any plans on going down early? Like I know some people sometimes will go like 3 weeks or 2 weeks or a week, and I've heard you either go down a couple weeks early or you have to go down right before. People have their own thing. Yeah. What's your plan as of right now?
It's funny. The last 2 years, because I've been in for 2 years and it's been canceled for 2 years. But
you're bad luck.
It might be it. I had been planning on going out like 2 or 3 weeks early. This year, I don't know that I've actually formulated a plan for that. I'm kind of just winging it, I guess. It's hard when like everything has been canceled for a year now. It's like what plans do I make, or do I just roll with it, just wing it?
Do I still know how to make a reservation?
Yeah, right.
So nothing real concrete yet.
No,
then, right?
No. If I had to guess, it will probably just go out, a couple days before.
Check it out and go for it.
Yeah.
So what do you have, heading up to? Like I said, we're going to have you on the show. We're going to really, get to a point next time where we're going to talk, a lot more specifically about training and maybe nutrition and stuff, where it's been on your radar for the last couple years. I mean, what are the things that, I don't say concern you, but what are the things that what do you think about the most when it's say, hey, I'm running Hardrock in July? What are some things right now that really pop into your head?
Right? Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I think it kind of just fits into my wheelhouse, so I'm not really like super stressed
like overthinking it.
No, I know like it's more climbing than most races I've done, but it's not that much more, And I think I just need to focus on climbing a bit more than I would, more as I get closer to the race, like June and early July. So
just really dialing in a little bit more. And does David have experience with Hardrock on like either run it or had athletes that have run it?
He coaches Jason Schlarb,
okay,
who's won it, but he didn't coach him at the time.
Okay.
So I actually can't speak to that. I'm not sure if he has specific experience or not, but kind of the thing about what he does is like it all just sort of translates to whatever we're doing, whether it's a flat race or a super vert race. Like, as long as we communicate and know what I need to be getting, like a lot of his workouts will be hill repeats anyways. And then generally on the weekends, he just wants me to go out and play in the mountains and do that sort of thing. And that generally tends to work pretty well for mountainous races. So,
I'm sitting here, and I haven't, originally I looked, but I'm kind of looking at there's 152 people right now on the start list.
Right.
And I'm looking down the list, and it truly is one of those who's who type things.
Yeah.
Like, even the deeper I get, because how the whole ultra signups, algorithms, schematics, whatever work. They've got. I'm horrible with names. Everybody knows it's Francois from France. Yep. He's kind of the top there. Johnny Clemens from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Is ranked second on this thing. But there's names like Dylan Bowman, Julian from France. You're right there next on this ranking. Ryan Smith, Jeff Browning, Eric Storheim locally, Dominic Grossman, Mike Wardian, Grant Guys from New Zealand, Nick Petitella, a guy that I know pretty well. It just goes on and on. And so, I look at the rankings. There's Garrett Grobbins, Courtney DeWalter, Brian Powell. It's crazy. Like, this is going to be, and everybody, I've gone to Hardrock a few times for the race, and it's just like the gathering, right? And, these people pull out like the pacers that could win the race type thing too. So it's always going to be a good time. Paul Sweeney's on here. Oh my, it just keeps going as you go down the list. And there's some familiar names, but at the end of the day, the first name that comes up is Hardrock, and that's kind of the granddaddy of this whole list, right? Because we've seen all these athletes, most of them down there, and the mountains don't care who you are.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you're having a day, if you're not having a day. Do you have any? And you don't have to say, because we'll get that to you later. But what's your you're competitive, and you're an extremely talented runner. And I'm just going to hit you on this on the spot. Do you think if you have the day you're looking for, that you could come away with the win?
That's my current plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm saying it because I think you could.
Yeah.
Right. I think not everybody on this list is going into it that way. I know there's probably a huge chunk of people that feel that way, but I think you could, even against like these big names, right? If you will, because like we said, you kind of are quieter, behind the scenes. You're not the sponsored athlete. You're not a social media giant or anything like that. But with the resume you have and the races you've run, you go in happy and healthy. And I would go to Vegas for you, for
Thank
sure.
You. I appreciate that.
Well, no, and that's why I was excited that you got in, because it's not all the time, even on the show, especially being where you're local, we get this opportunity, right? Because, like I said, we're going to track you all the way to Hardrock with your training and everything. Do you think the training will be that different from like training for the Ute or for the Bear or for Wasatch?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think if anything, my approach this year is just going to be more for the joy of it and less for the specific trying to hit splits up certain climbs and things like that. I'm just going to go run a bunch of miles in the mountains and be happy and go from there. And things have happened in the last couple of years that I know I have another switch I can flip mentally that I haven't done a lot in races. Like it's happened before. It probably happened at Hurt this past year, but I know that when I flip that switch, I can put myself into the realm of winning that race. So.
That's awesome. That's exciting and super cool. Do you have anything between like now and then? I know you say you don't really have a lot of races you're signed up for, but is there anything, I'll say big, right? Do you have an idea to go somewhere, right, for a couple days and do like a weekend worth of something somewhere else, or is your primary focus as of right now just kind of like, you can find places here, but is that your primary focus, just sticking around and doing something?
I'm on wait list for Zane Grey. I'd like to do that one now. If I could. That'd be fun. Beyond and Quad Rock, I'm on the wait list for that too. So those are two that might be fun just for training purposes, get in and get the wheels turning a little. But, I don't know. Right now, I haven't made a whole lot of plans. I've just been kind of keeping it low key this winter. I might go back to Hawaii and get another training weekend there. the Big Island's pretty cool. You can get up to almost 14,000 feet up on Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. So you can train at elevation there, and you can drop down and be at sea level in an hour. So there's just a lot of cool possibilities to train there. So I might head back there if it sticks around cold here for a while.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
And I've heard Hawaii, not just the running, but I heard it's a pretty cool place. So
yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
So we'll let you go after this, but Hawaii. Have you been there before you went to Hurt?
No, that was the
so
first
you
time.
went to Hurt, and you've basically since then have kind of fallen in love with it.
Yeah,
there, right.
Yeah. Been back every year, so
no matter what.
Yeah, and so the first 3 years were Oahu, and then this year we went up to the Big Island to check that out, and definitely kind of fell in love with the vibe there. You know, it's very underpopulated, I would say, like pretty rural. Not a lot of tourists unless you go to the Kona side, and even then, it's like a different kind of tourism. You know, it's very much just rich people on vacation there. But on on the side we were staying on, it's just super low key, and everyone's happy and chill, and it's a totally different lifestyle there. You know, I don't know. It's just really appealing to both me and my wife. So.
Well, I was more hoping you would say, yeah, we were out there looking for a place for winter. We're going to stay here in the summer and just have a second home. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat, buddy.
Yeah. Maybe, but I don't think we're quite in that range to be able to afford that. It's going to be one or the other. So.
Well, back to it. So, like, besides maybe going back over to Hawaii, is there any places around here that you've kind of looked at to say this, this would be good, some good training block or a good training period? Because we have some places, right?
Yeah.
Have you looked at anything around here that you'd consider doing or want to do?
Yeah, for local runs, if I am not trying to drive anywhere, I like to just go do repeats up Mount Ogden. So it's a little over or around 4,000 feet, depending on where you start. And if you just do 2 or 3 repeats of that,
Where do you like to start to do that? Do you like to start on Snow Basin side?
I usually do Buse.
Buse, okay.
Buse just because it's a little steeper and kind of more.
It's rugged.
Yeah.
And overgrown.
Very overgrown, beats up your legs, shreds your legs with all the overgrown.
We'd have to do that early because that every year that scares me more and more because of the rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
It seems like every time I go up there, every year there's more, and you get up in the basin at the wrong time, and you can just hear them. It echoes through all the rocks. So that side scares me more than ever. When I do Mount Ogden, I usually go up Snow Basin side now.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's a little shadier back there too.
Yeah,
so might do a little bit of both. But there's some good big mountains in Salt Lake, and might try to hit like Kings Peak or something. It's only a few hour drive. So
have you done that before?
Yeah.
Kings Peak? I did that for the first time last year.
Nice.
It's a lot scarier than I originally thought. The last mile and a half. Yeah, once you hit Anderson Pass and you go up, that's
a little more scrambly.
Yeah, a little bit more for a non-scrambler.
And it's also a lot flatter than you kind of expect going into it. It's basically, I can't remember what the round trip distance is, but I feel like it's about 30 miles of pretty flat running.
Yeah, for you, it seems like I can differentiate 10 feet pretty easily, though, when I'm going uphill. So what about pacers? Have you got that dialed in yet? I'm sure you've got a lot of people that are like, dude, if you need help, let me know. If you need help, let me know.
That's a funny thing about Hardrock is there's never a shortage of people that want to come help.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't used pacers for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. Yeah. I know depending on who you ask, there's going to be a hotly debated talk about that. But I think with this race, I will for several reasons. One, because it's not all about me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, like Hardrock is just a different thing, and some people are never going to be able to run it. So, like, if they have the opportunity to come pace me, I feel like it would be selfish for me to not let them. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not necessarily my jam.
A neat experience.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. That's awesome.
So I'll have Gabe Joyce has been planning on coming out and pacing, and I've had a few other offers, and just we'll see.
See who wins the lottery.
Yeah, see who sticks. So,
what about crewing for you? Is that the kind of same thing? Is it just going to be your family?
Yeah. Honestly, my wife Tempest is like
dialed in,
grade A. Yeah. Top of the line crew. She just knows me so well and just knows what she's doing, and she's also just the best planner and like she's probably already thinking about the race where I'm like, I don't know.
She's got spreadsheets.
Yeah, she does. I guarantee
graphs
she
and everything
does.
right now.
She's probably already booked things, and I have no idea.
She's listening, going, "I told you we got a place already."
Yeah. That's probably exactly what. So, and I'm sure we'll get some help too from a few other friends, and so.
So you're not really thinking like right now much logistic stuff, right? I mean, it's just and I think it's kind of cool though because it's not. I mean, it's such a big iconic event. Plus, getting into it's hard enough. Yeah. So again, it's like talking to you since you got on the microphone. It's just different. You know what I mean? Like, and not in a bad way, right? It's not like you don't respect it or you don't care. It's just a matter of. I'm enjoying myself right now. We'll take care of that when the time comes. Yeah. Where a lot of people right now are packing drop bags for Hardrock and sitting them in their closet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a couple things. I might be a professional procrastinator. There's that. And it also might be because this is my third year planning to race it, and it hasn't happened yet. So like I'm kind of just riding it out and seeing.
You're like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I mean, we planned so much the first year that it's like maybe we're just still holding on to the plans for that. There's
a few things changing the name of the spreadsheet.
There's a few things like I was going to get a Hypoxico tent the first year and sleep in that, and like kind of planned on getting that last year too, but then it got canceled. And so now this year I'm like, should I even do that, or like am I just not even going to worry about it? So I don't know. A couple things going on there.
How do you speaking of that, how do you do with higher elevations? I mean, you've done races with higher elevations. Hardrock obviously is its own beast, but do you do pretty well high elevations?
I think so. Yeah. I've never had too many problems that I would consider altitude related. Sometimes I do struggle if it's like super hot at a high elevation. That tends to get me sometimes.
Yeah.
I did Tushers last year and it was like 95 degrees and high up, and I was getting pretty hammered. I also wasn't quite fit yet because of the stress fracture thing, but so if there's like other factors on top of the altitude, it's really smoky or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Usually if you combine things, it's bad. If it's just altitude, I think I do okay.
The reason I bring that up, I did Handies one year, went out with a bunch of friends. There was the soft rock where you do it in 3 days. I didn't do the whole thing, but we went up Handies, and I'd never been up the 14,000 feet. And so I was really nervous, and we were with a group of people, and we kept getting higher up. We were like 12, and I'm like, I still feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. And then we hit like 13, and I'm like, oh yeah, this ain't bad. It was like 13-1, and I felt like I was carrying a piano on my chest. It happened like that quick to me. Like I thought I was like, okay, this is no problem. And some people felt it a little bit earlier, but I'm not kidding you. We got closer, and it was like 5 steps, and I stop, and I would take some breath. And it crushed me the closer I got to 14.
Yeah.
We did Kings Peak this year, which is not quite that high. Wasn't as bad. So I don't know if there was like those, like you said, existing factors. I did the Lake City 50 or San Juan Solstice, and it was a bad fire year. And so you're getting way up high. And at first, I grabbed my rain jacket because I'm like, there's a lot of rain clouds. It was smoke.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked the aid station, I'm like, is that a storm coming in? He's like, bro, that's smoke. And I'm like, I brought the wrong gear.
Yeah.
So I know, that's a tough one. But I think that's a big thing, right? I mean, you're great at climbing. You're obviously experienced, and if the altitude isn't like that big a deal, that's another, like, you're like built for races like this. Like you said, it's in your wheelhouse, but it's like kind of built for that type of stuff. You're used to it.
Yeah.
And weather-wise is the other thing. We've had years where, I think it was like 4 years ago maybe, where the lightning was hitting and Adam Campbell's headlamp kind of blew up and stuff. You can't control weather,
right?
So that's just always a crazy one. But yeah, I like your approach where it's just not
whatever.
Yeah, I think I'm running Hardrock. When is that? August? I don't even remember. But it's a good approach because seeing you, listening to you talk, and I get the opportunity and fortune to see you talk. But like you said, it's that you're enjoying it, right? Without those things, do you at all have any sponsors left? Any other?
I do. I still work with Gnarly Nutrition and Untapped.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right on. I've wanted to try a few different. I've never tried Gnarly Nutrition. I've always looked at it, and there's a lot of different things, and I know a lot of people use it. You like that?
It's amazing.
Is it?
I love all their products, especially for recovery. They just released some what they call their baseline, which is a few different like vitamins and minerals, so like iron and B12 and things like that. And they're about to drop a new product that's going to be game changing.
Really?
Yeah.
When can we look for that?
I think relatively soon, in the next
Nice.
few months. I don't know the
Right
exact release date, but I know it's sometime soon. It's a fueling like hydration product. So
Okay.
I used it at Hurt and I used it at White Rim, and never felt any lows or anything like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of different stuff too, don't they? Make like everyday type stuff, and and also workout. I guess maybe is the best way to say it.
Yeah. So they do like protein powders and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's all kind of geared and formulated more towards the mountain athlete than it is necessarily like the gym rat, I guess.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, then I probably won't take any because I'm more of a meathead.
Yeah.
And then that actually touches on another great topic that I think is, and we'll actually dive into this either in other podcasts, but you're vegan, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a different approach when it comes to the overall, I know a lot of people that are vegan, a lot of people that have tried, and a lot of people that are actually going through it. You've got it dialed in. You've been vegan for how long?
10 years, probably.
10 years.
Yeah.
So you've got it dialed in, but does that limit what you use, like even hitting an aid station and stuff, or do you kind of more like I don't pay attention and stuff. So when you hit an aid station, is there generally stuff you even use from an aid station, or you just kind of deal with what your crew has or you take with you?
Usually it's what I have or crew, but I mean most of the stuff that's just grab and go at aid stations is vegan anyways, like potato chips and Swedish fish or whatever. It's all vegan.
Gummy bears.
Well, not gummy bears, but
so the fish are good, but the bears are bad.
Yeah, you got to check the label to see if there's gelatin in it. So I usually ask them like, "Hey, do you guys have the package this came in so I can read the ingredients?" And
I'm glad you said that, because I'm like, if you walked in and said, "Hey, what is this vegan?" Because most of those people are like, I don't know.
I would never ask that. No, I just grab potato chip and pickle and be on my way.
You know where you're at with those, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
So, I don't think it's really been limiting to me, but like you said, I've been doing it so long that I just know what I eat, and it's not an issue. So,
do you get a lot of people asking you questions about like how you do it, being a vegan? Like people that either are vegan or want to get into running more that are vegan. Do you get people that ask you questions on that stuff? Yeah,
a little more or less these days. I feel like people seem to be more interested in the low carb, high fat thing for whatever reason. So I don't know. It seems like it's like vegan is becoming less popular as far as like people trying to find their optimum diet for endurance.
Gotcha. Well, the other thing that's popped up that's getting hot, and this is just off the cuff, so I don't have it sitting in front of me, and maybe you know it, and I know a listener does, so you can correct me because I'm always wrong. But the dude, and someone says his name I know, about being cold all the time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Being cold.
His mindset. He's like lives in
Wim Hof.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh, it took me a minute. I'm like, because I've seen more of Wim Hof stuff within the last 2 months than I've ever seen. Right. Yeah. And I know what it is, but I just see more and more people doing Wim Hof method today, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Did I miss a Netflix promotion? I mean, what's happening out there? But I think you're right. Vegan was. Oh boy, lacking a better word. It was bigger, right? I mean, it was like it was out there more. It was maybe more talked about, and now it's the low carb stuff, high fats, stuff like that.
I think the question I've gotten the most recently has been, is there a way to be vegan and also be low carb? And that's like, I mean, if you want to eat nothing but avocados and coconut, like, that's probably fine, but I like to mess around with French fries and stuff every once in a while,
I got a thing for fries. It's like saying, is there a way to be vegan and have bacon and eggs?
Yeah, exactly.
In the morning. That's kind of funny. And I've got no restrictions, as you can tell. I just, whatever you put in front of me. But you say French fries, and now I'm kind of craving some poutine.
It sounds good.
And that was a big thing on the podcast like 2 years ago, and now there's like poutine in the area. So my life is coming full circle to be happy about it. How about after Hardrock? You got anything you're thinking about after Hardrock, or race wise or anything?
I plan to do Hurt again.
Okay.
Beyond that, I think I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna see how I feel after Hardrock, and hopefully there's a move between Hardrock and Hurt.
Holy cow, that
where,
may be
where
quick,
Hurt's less of a commute. But we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I don't know. Just kind of playing it by ear this year. We'll see how everything
playing
plays
it by
out.
ear, but we might move to Hawaii. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Perfect.
Wow, so you're thinking maybe. I mean, again, you never know, but
Yeah.
that quick. Like when you said that, I was thinking a year or two. But you're like, if things work out, I'm taking my white shoes over the pond and I'm getting over to the island. Wow.
Yeah.
So, what are your chances of getting into Hurt?
100%.
100%. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. Is that because you won, right?
Yeah.
So anytime you put in because you're a comeback winner, it's like, hey, come on over.
Yeah, I think they do top 3.
Is that what it is?
From the previous year. So,
okay.
Yeah, top 3 previous year, you're automatically in.
Okay, because 2021 was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully 2022, if everything goes right,
should
is back.
happen.
What was it like over in Hawaii this year? I mean, with the the restrictions lifted and, because Hawaii hadn't had visitors forever. And the islands, everything I read and heard just really suffered. How was it when you went over there?
They were being really smart and safe about everything. We had to have negative tests before we got on the flight within 72 hours. Then they actually tested us at the airport.
Wow.
So as soon as we got off the flight, we stood in line to get tested. They said, if you don't hear from us in 2 hours, you're fine. So... we never heard from them. So
you turn your cell phone off and run.
Yeah.
They probably just like, where are you staying, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, you have
really
to
dialed in.
You had to get on an app and fill out, address of where you're staying and everything. They're really keeping track of it. All the restaurants, everything was really good about masks, and it seemed like some places might have struggled a little bit from lack of tourism, but like I said, where we were staying, it was kind of local anyways, so most places were doing okay.
I say that because we're looking to do Kauai
nice.
for Thanksgiving this year. I was supposed to go last year.
Yeah.
Those are my daughters. Of course, we had to cancel that, so this year we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking at Verbos or VRBOs if you're me, because I'm not fancy. And is that what you guys do when you go over to, is kind of go that route, or do you just do a hotel?
We did Airbnb.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Same.
Yeah, so that's funny. The commute will be shorter after that. What else? I mean, what's your preference with shoes? Are you hydration pack, handheld, waist belt?
Usually waist belt and handhelds.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way I roll.
Depends on what you're doing, though.
Yeah.
And aid stations and everything
Hardrock
else.
might be a vest just because, the
gear.
Good idea to carry a rain jacket and things like that.
Maybe a flashlight.
But I've packed all that in a waist belt before and been fine. I kind of like to keep the weight off my shoulders. I tend to tense up my shoulders when I run anyways. And I feel like that with the weight of a weight vest, I end up with neck tension.
Oh, yeah.
So
I get cramps in my back. Is that weird as that is sometimes?
Yeah.
I'll lay down on a trail and do some weird wannabe yoga stuff just to unflex my back.
Yeah, so I plan, as of right now, probably to do waist belt and handhelds.
So for the people out there, what do you? You're not a quote unquote sponsored athletes. What do you do for a living?
Signs and graphics right now. So nothing super fancy. I've been doing it for 17 years now, something like that. So pays the bills.
And before that, you were a chef.
Yeah, kind of in the middle of that. I took a break from the science world and did some culinary exploration. Came to the conclusion that it doesn't really support a family of 5 very well, so I went back to the job that actually pays me in actual money.
in the money stuff.
Yeah,
man, that's what's your overall thought with Hardrock, though? I mean, obviously it's something you've wanted to do, but when I say Hardrock, you're in it. I mean, are you excited?
Definitely.
At the end of the day, are you just really excited to get down there and see all that?
That's kind of like the end all be all for me. That's like, get this race done, finish, kiss the rock, and I don't really care what happens career-wise after that,
really?
race-wise after that.
Yeah.
This is the one that I've always wanted to do. So
awesome.
I'm super stoked to actually finally get the chance to do it. So
keep our fingers crossed, right?
Yeah.
Because I think really the only thing, snowpack this year, where are we at? Is it average, more than average, less than average, or are you even paying attention? Because you're like,
I haven't, because the winter had been so crappy up until a few weeks ago. So I do need to look and see where they're at, because that's kind of what killed it a few years ago, was that it was all the late snows that caused a lot of.
Well, then they had fires the one year, right?
And then last year was the COVID.
So the year before was avalanche damage and snowpack, and then last year was COVID.
Okay.
So
But you haven't really paid much attention to. I like this style. I just love this style because I'm the opposite.
it's probably not very helpful to most people that are looking for
maybe for most people,
but
like I'm like the other way. I'm probably more like your wife. I'm like over analyzed dial. I think my pack list is ready for my trip to Hawaii and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like just what to take,
Yeah.
like how many Speedos and thongs to wear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm very more
You
detailed.
need at least one for every day, right?
So, well, what direction is this Hardrock? Do you know that part of it? Is it clockwise or counterclockwise? Because you got a 50% chance.
It was supposed to be counterclockwise, and I don't know if they've changed that. I think that it's still that.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Well, it's a 50% shot. Either way,
Yeah.
Either way, you're starting
And
at zero.
I've never run it before. I have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I don't know which way's a little harder. I don't know.
Well, because some
Whatever.
people we've had on the show and some people out there, to be a quote unquote true hard rocker, it's both
You have
directions.
to do both. Yeah.
But to even get in twice,
Right.
you'd have to. That's a true hard rocker
Right.
in my eyes,
Yeah.
right? It's like hard enough to get in there to begin. How many years did you put in before you got in?
Oh, probably around 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you say this is kind of like your race. You don't have any desire to do like Western States?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do, and I'll tell you why. Because I want to do the Grand Slam, and that's about the only reason I want to do Western States.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any with taking away the Grand Slam? Are there any other races or locations that it's like on your list, like super high, not just like, oh, that'd be cool, but is there something out there you're like, I gotta do that?
Grand Raid is one that's
Okay.
up there on Reunion Island. It's sort of been described as like a cross between Hurt and Hardrock.
Okay.
And that really appeals to me for some reason.
So where's this at?
Reunion Island. So without looking at a map, I don't know that I could believe it's a French-owned island.
Okay, I was going to say, what language
Yeah.
do they speak? And that would kind of dial
Yeah.
me in. So French-owned island.
French.
Is this is it a big, it's a 100-mile race, or is it?
Yeah, it's 100 miles.
Is it?
Yeah. I think they have a few different distances that they do as well.
But that's kind of the one.
100
you're looking
miler
at.
would be the one I do. There's that, and I'd love to get over to Europe and race something eventually. I was going to do UTMB last year, and that got canceled as well. And I just didn't put in this year. I don't know. I figured last year I was kind of like, whatever about it, I'll have more opportunities, and had some other things going on to have people help pay to get there, and don't have that so much this year. So I was like, I don't know that I want to go like a month after Hardrock and it just be like a, scenic
Just an experience more than
yeah.
you're kind of quote unquote racing.
Save it for another year when I can put more into it, I think.
Well,
So,
I mean, for what it takes to get over there, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
To get in. What's your? I know you got these white shoes that are just lighting up the scene, but is there a shoe out there that's you've loved before this? Like, has there just been one shoe that you've just loved? I'm a shoe guy, so I always got to ask this question.
Yeah. Solomon Sense Pro is really good. I like that as kind of a go-to shoe.
Do you still wear other stuff besides the white ones too? Just gotta mix it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have like 40 pairs of shoes in my closet.
Yeah.
And I just sort of rotate between them all. So
They're not all white.
no, that's my only white pair. They're soon going to be all white. I think I'm transitioning to that though.
Well, I could see them just standing out in a pile of 40. The white's gonna look at you, right? It's like I'm grabbing those.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I'm just not really like a shoe nerd, honestly.
Yeah.
I
Because I know you've run in like with Ultra and Raid Light and Solomon, obviously. So
Ultra Superiors, I like a lot. I still like those.
So you don't have a preference, or do you, from like a 0 drop to a whatever top drop, right? Are you just like whatever?
Yeah, I like to keep it about 6 tops, but I have run in a lot of Solomons or 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. And I don't mind it as much as I thought I would, or as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Particularly like in snowy conditions or like wet trail conditions. So yeah, 6 is kind of the top, but I'll go anywhere from 0 to 6 on any given day.
Okay.
I like to change it up because I feel like it kind of keeps the injuries guessing a little bit.
What are we gonna do today, boys?
Yeah,
crap! You brought out the white ones. Because I've actually, it's kind of funny. I'm a 4 to 6 is kind of where I like to be, and it's hilarious when you go in places or talk to people, like you can really tell a difference in millimeters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to people like Solomon for me was my first ever trail shoe, and I can't wear them now because the stack height is, like you said, there's so many 10 mil stack heights. I like exaggerating. It feels like high heels sometimes a little bit for me.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing though is in the last, oh my gosh, 8 months or so, I've been wearing Ultras a lot.
Huh.
And I never really wore Ultras before.
Yeah.
I wasn't a zero drop interest too much. I tried them and I was like, I don't know, but even though it's zero drop, I think they're getting so much more dialed in with their shoes.
Yeah.
Right? Like I got the brand new Lone Peak 5s.
Those look nice. I haven't tried them.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like it's a totally different shoe than the one before, the 4.5s or whatever they are before that. And the most running I've been doing is a Timp 2, and now I'm finding out the Timp 3's coming out, and they use the midsole from the new Lone Peak 5s. I'm like, this could be my new shoe.
Right.
Because I've been struggling to find something since Pearl Izumi like forever ago.
I noticed you wearing pearls the other day. I was like, how do you keep those looking so fresh, man? They haven't made shoes for like 5 years now.
It's been longer than that, but a little secret, I got a storage unit somewhere here in Ogden that's pretty high. No, I literally did. I bet I've got, oh my gosh, maybe only 3 left of the Pearl Izumi N2 V3s in a box.
Yeah.
I have 3 pair. One's all black. I'm saving those for like some special, and maybe it's going to be
when you get into Hardrock.
Oh my God, I don't think that'll ever happen. I turned 50 this year, so I'm like, well, maybe I wear them, the day after I'm running the Beaverhead. Maybe I wear them from that, or maybe I save them for the Bear this year. I'm waiting on those because those are pretty slick, but I haven't been able to find it. Like I said, I've tried the North Face on just recently, the new ones. I've tried some New Balance that were pretty cool. I think they called the More Trail. Actually really cushy, but yeah, I can't find anything to really. But I've been running in the Ultras, which surprises me. But now for me, the toe boxes aren't so big,
right?
Which everybody's like, oh, I love their huge toe. For me, I couldn't. So now they're getting a little narrow. They're not like narrow, but they're not as, for me, and I hate to use the word, but they're not as sloppy for me,
right?
Like where I'm just like all over the place.
I feel that because they were, like there's shoes in the past had definitely been
and I
a little sloppy.
I could put that's where I put my nutrition. I just put a gel between each toe because there's plenty of room to keep them warm down there on cold days. You didn't have to have your gel freeze up on you.
I always think it's weird when I slide into an old pair of Ultras, my big toe is in like the middle of the toe box, and it makes no sense to me. Like, it's never like affected anything, but it just doesn't make any sense from a design standpoint, at least for my foot anyways.
They like I said, I think they've like this new Lone Peak 5.0. I haven't run in them yet, just wore them around, but oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm a bigger guy, and these are like a lot less stack height. So that's why I think the Timp, because I've done the Olympus 4s, those are like their max cush. Those feel good too. So I'm really happy so far with all that. But I'm a nerd when it comes to I'm waiting for a new vest. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I don't need one, but I want one.
Just want one.
Yeah, because I got a new GoPro. I'm like, where am I going to put that with the little stick on it?
You tried the Hoka 10.9s yet? That could be the shoe.
I don't even know. Is that the big, huge flipper on the back?
Yeah.
I've looked at those, and I just still don't get it. And I know people, I've talked to people like, oh, these are great. And I'm like, I wouldn't know where to put my foot on a trail. I'm already an 11.5, and you put the spur on there. I'm like a 13. And so maybe for glissading, they would be good. I don't know. I mean, and again, because this is not a joke. I bought on the clearance table at a local run shop. I bought the Hoka Carbon X road shoe, and they're so comfortable.
Yeah,
and I don't even run on the road, but I do a little bit, I should say. Nice. But yeah, those ones. That the one to flip the spur.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I
don't either. I don't get it. And I think that's kind of where we're at. I actually was with, I won't name the brand, but there's a brand that reached out to me, and they do running stuff, we'll say, and they asked me my thoughts on what's next, like what do you see, and I'm like, I don't know if you can really reinvent the wheel at this point. I really don't. And that's what they were saying. What about they said, what if there's a shoe that comes out that is like made from all recycled materials, but it doesn't last as long? I'm like, I would, if it felt good, I'd wear it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and then are you charging less, or are you charging?
And it was
charging more?
It was less. It was significantly less, as a matter of fact. And I was like, yeah. And so my thought to them when they were talking, I said, I think things might come back around to like the overall minimalist, right? Not just the shoe, but like even the shirts and the shorts and everything. It's not so techy because it's like, what can you? what kind of shirt is next? Like,
Yeah.
really, what's out there to make a shirt like you go, oh my gosh, I'd pay $200 for that shirt
Right.
because it's made of vibranium from Captain America's shield
Vibranium.
plus, whatever. So I'm like, I don't know what else you can do at this point,
Yeah.
So when the shoe came out with the spur, I'm like, okay, that's new. That's
Yeah.
new. Because remember when Hoka came out, everybody's like, what? Those are moon boots.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah, they did a poor job on their first pair, just the color wave. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's next, but it's interesting to see what you wear because, being a bigger runner, I wish I could wear a Lone Peak for 100 miles, but I just know because of the sheer force coming down on that, I wouldn't last. Yes, so I need a little cushion, I think.
I wore S-Labs at Hurt, which have like next to no cushioning.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of comments, like people telling me that I was crazy and was going to end up with stress fractures in my feet and stuff, but they were fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think it's but you weigh like not much either, like maybe a little bit more than this can of beer I'm holding right now. It's a tall can of beer. Let me get that straight. But I'm like a
I'm no
lineman.
12-ouncer.
Yeah, I'm like a lineman to you, really. Well, cool. So we're gonna have you on again, April-ish time frame, and hopefully by then if you're gonna go down like on a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe we did get, ask you a little bit more about nutrition, your training regimen. We'd really love to get you, not too far, but kind of last thoughts going into the race. And we're going to have a place where people can ask questions so I can bring them on the air if people have specific questions, whether it's about the race, nutrition, whatever. Cool. And then the after, right? Regardless, it's just going to be great to hear what it's like to not just run Hardrock, but just experience Hardrock. Because that's what I think a lot when I go down there as a spectator. I've gone down there to kind of help crew. It's the experience that's just so amazing. Like you walk down the street and there's like all these people that, you're used to seeing, say, on social media or something, and they're just hanging out and having a good time and camping and doing everything else. But I think the Hardrock thing is just such a cool, and I've told people, just go down. Just go down for the race, watch it, hang out, and it's just, I almost say life-changing, but it really does. It's one of those things where mentally I think it'd put you in a really good place, I guess, is the best way. It's like volunteering to me. I think everybody's like, I'm kind of going through a funk. What should I do? I'm like, go volunteer to race.
Yeah.
Because it always kind of brings you, your mind in a totally different place.
Definitely.
To do. Last question I'm going to ask before we let you go. You did the white rim FKT.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any, is there an FKT out there? Maybe not even just to say you want the FKT, but is there a course or an FKT that it sticks in your head that you'd like to go for? Either try for the FKT or do the route?
Yeah. Well, I've wanted to get back down to the Grand Canyon since the last time I did rim to rim to rim, and it humbled the crap out of me. And life-changing experience, almost life-ending experience, but I want to do the double of that. So I want to do rim to rim to rim to rim to rim, and see if I can get the FKT on that.
So do you know the FKT on that? Like if you had to guess it even or close to it?
I think it's around 19 or 20 hours.
Okay.
And I think I can do it faster than that.
So first time I did rim to rim to rim, and I don't even remember, but I think I was just the rim to rim to rim, just like the, south, north, south, back to the south. I think I was probably 15 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it killed me. Like I cried more than once, and I threw up more than once, and then I cried again. And I think I cried in the shower when I eventually got back to the place I was staying.
It's soul crushing. I remember getting up to the top, and when I ran it, I wasn't going for any time or anything. I thought I could do it in around 8 hours casually, no problem. And I, dropped down into the canyon. It was like 2 or 3 degrees up at the south rim, and then got down to the canyon. It was closer to 100 degrees. and I just like ran out of, I was not prepared at all. I had like 5 energy bars and like a bottle of water, like a handheld of water, thinking I'd be fast enough I could refill. And like I got so dehydrated, and I ended up on my way back, like halfway through the, on my way up the North Rim, cramping so bad, just like the worst cramps, falling to your knees type thing. And kind of getting back into it and getting back to Phantom Ranch. And I just sat there for probably 2 or 3 hours, just at that fountain, just like sipping water, like chugging water, and wishing I had brought my wallet to go buy a lemonade or something. It was just
That Snicker bar
brutal.
was good.
Just doing everything I could to avoid going back up that 7,000 foot climb, just dreading it. But then realizing like my wife might think I'm dead at this point. Like she probably expected me hours ago. So then just having to pull everything together. And I remember looking at myself as like the sun was setting and my skin was starting to look green. And I was just, probably minutes away from liver failure or something. It was pretty gnarly. And I got up and got done. It was about 30 minutes after it got dark. I didn't bring a headlamp because I was only planning on being 8 hours. So, there's sheer drop-offs as you're going up there and no headlamp.
Yep.
And I get up to the top and I remember looking at temp. She was 2 minutes away from calling park rangers to go find my dead body. and I remember just laughing hysterically, like just that was the stupidest thing I've ever done. So I'm going to go do it again.
Yeah.
Twice.
That's usually how it works. Because
Yeah.
you're talking about it. Yeah. So I wasn't really, I was, going. I didn't think I'd be that long. I heard it. My friends told me it was fun. So,
yeah.
And I was mad because
Yeah.
I'm like, where was the fun? Did I miss the fun part? That's until like a few days later and I realized it. So when you're heading back up the south side, you leave Phantom, and right before you climb, what's the garden there called? Do you remember? It's like, is it Indian Garden or?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Anyway, I hit there right before the climb. It's basically right before you climb out of the South Rim. And I was with Joel Hatch, and I was like you. I was dehydrated. I wasn't feeling good, and I just sat down in the garden there. And Joel's like, here, try this. And I'm going to say it, and I know there's a lot of people out there, but he gave me a noon tablet, right? And we put it in my bladder in my hydration vest. And he's like, this will help. I took 2 sips of it and turned into the Exorcist show. It was like I was shooting it like 6 feet straight across, hitting a rock. I looked at Joel. I'm like, I really hate you right now.
Yeah.
So what happened, it ruined all my hydration for the climb out because it was in my vest. So the whole climb out, I had nothing to drink.
Oh, man.
And I got back and actually threw the hydration bladder in the trash because I couldn't get the smell out of it, and the smell made me sick. And again, it's probably not the product, right? It was just where I was. But I've never, ever been able to even touch a
noon.
even in the store. Like if I'm going to buy something, I can't touch one. I get nauseous. And it has nothing to do with their company, but it's a bad experience. But I'm going down there in a month. So we're heading down there. Sarah, my girlfriend, and Jim Hatch is going, or Jim Hatch, I just combined my friends. Jim Skaggs is going.
Oh, cool.
And Jeff Hart, I'm going to call him out up in Bellingham. He messaged me, so I'm going to say he's going, and I haven't got confirmation. But yeah, it'll be, I think, the first weekend in April.
Sweet.
Heading back down. I haven't been down there for 8 or 9 years. I've done the thing twice.
Yeah.
I'm nervous because I don't have any like super pleasant experiences when I think of the Grand Canyon. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trained for it either. So I'm hoping I don't get my LKT, my longest known time, because I don't want to be down there for 15 hours. Man. So,
No, that's brutal.
But that's a huge. Well, do you know what the rim to rim one, the normal one, is? The FKT. Isn't it?
I want to say it's just under 5 hours.
Yeah,
right?
and I can't even fathom that.
Yeah.
Like literally, I mean, I'm not kidding. 14-ish hours probably. I could be, maybe it's 12, maybe it's 16 at this point. But the first time I did it, I'm like 5 hours. Like
that doesn't sound right. All of a sudden, maybe it's just under 6.
But still, it does. I mean, you're close enough. It's like the only way I could do that if I had zip lines. Right, that went up too, right? Like propel me up. So yeah, it's a crazy one. So is there anything besides that one that really stands out, like even an adventure type thing?
The Wonderland Trail looks
Yeah.
really cool. There's a lot of stuff up in the Pacific Northwest that I would really love to go do.
Yeah.
That's kind of, if it wasn't Hawaii, that'd be like the second area we're looking at probably is up there. So there's a lot of stuff up there I want to go check out. It's just a matter of finding the time.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's exactly what it is. Well, right on. Thanks for coming back on the podcast. Thanks for the great beer from TF Brewing. It's always nice to do that. But I'm really excited as we get closer to really start to tap in to see what your thoughts and how your training's going, because I don't see a ton. We see each other on trail once in a while, but you look like you're really having fun right now.
Yeah.
Like just the way you talk and seeing you on the mountain and stuff, it just looks like you're doing it for the right reasons, maybe is the best way to say it. So
Sweet.
And you don't need validation for sure. I mean, it's like I said, I went down your ultra sign up results. I'm like, I didn't know that one. I didn't know that one. And it's pretty stout. So great job with what you're doing.
Thank you.
And thanks for everything you do. I appreciate your comments too at the sport about, making as minimal impact as you can. I think that's big. I think we all know that that's important, and we all can't we have to make an impact on some level. I mean, you can do whatever you want with recycling and eating and whatever, but there's going to be, but I mean, just cutting out stuff here and there is always a cool thing. So, and because of you, I'm going to go check out those white shoes.
Yeah, do it.
I don't know.
I think you'll like them. They'll look good on you.
Will they?
Yeah.
If I get a tan, maybe. I don't want it to look like I don't have shoes on. It's just some dude out there's bare feet, because I'm pretty pasty right now, I feel. So, well, Trevor, thanks for coming back on the podcast. We sure appreciate it. It's always good having you on, and we'll get you back on again. So, we look forward to it. And you don't have to bring beer next time. Maybe I will.
I probably will. It's a selfish thing. I just want to drink it too. So.
Okay. I'll let you. Well, I don't want to take that away from you, so I'll let you continue to do that. So, well, thanks again for jumping on the podcast. Best of luck, and stay healthy. So our next conversation can be this enjoyable. And we'll catch you again probably in the spring.
All right. Sounds great.
Thanks, man. Thank you for listening to the TrailManners podcast. I'd like to thank Trevor Fuchs for joining us today and wish him well in his journey to the Hardrock 100. And it's always a great time having him behind the microphone. I also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at TrailManners, or swing by the website at TrailManners.com. There you can check out our store page and support the podcast by buying a shirt or whatever else we have in the shop. Or you can hit us up on the contact page and let me know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or if you would like to be on the show. And I always love hearing from the TrailManners community. And if you could take just a minute to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating or review on iTunes or Facebook, I'd greatly appreciate it. And lastly, TrailManners would love your support via our Patreon account at patreon.com/TrailManners to keep us alive and kicking. Until next time, this is your host, Eric Manning, reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.